This episode is brought to you by MeUndies. While MeUndies can't totally help your love life this Valentine's Day, they can offer you insanely comfy undies and loungewear to buy or gift. MeUndies has so many awesome Valentine's Day prints and styles. Plus, you can match with your partner, friends, or even your pets. This Valentine's Day, give the gift that'll keep them thinking of you and score huge site-wide savings at MeUndies.com/Spotify. That's MeUndies.com/Spotify. MeUndies. Comfort from the outside in.
Will Regent Street's Christmas lights turn down anyone's money?
Answer me this, answer me this.
When Joe Belton's feelings inside was a little bit funny.
Answer me this, Helen and Ollie, answer me this.
Thank you so much to everybody who is invested in our Christmas album already and has sent us some kind comments about it.
Yeah, but more importantly, they're cash by buying the album.
Cash is our favourite, but kind comments are a semi-close second.
Comments are welcome.
Jonathan says, yay, the Answer Me This Christmas album, though I may wait until December to listen.
Oh, well, not long to go now, young Jonathan, till it be Christmas Day and you can buy yourself a festive goose in celebration of the Christ child.
I don't think any of the goose shops are open on Christmas Day.
That's true, actually, isn't it? I suppose you got your goose in advance, as you could get the Answer Me This Christmas album in advance.
To psych yourself up. Do you think Jonathan has managed to hold out to December to hear our hour-long, all-new yabbering about Christmas things?
I think if he has, he deserves some sort of award. Who could have that on their MP3 player, Helen, and not give in to temptation to press play immediately?
To open one of the presents under the tree and then rewrap it so Mummy and Daddy don't find out.
Exactly.
Alexander says, Ollie, answer me this. What would you recommend to achieve the full Answer Me This Christmas experience? Heavily sedated by turkey?
Well, we do talk about turkey in it, and also Brussels sprouts and crackers and party food.
Yeah,
so
mince
definitely
pies.
It would go well, wouldn't it, as the soundtrack to your Christmas meal. But frankly, that's a bit depressing, isn't it, if on Christmas Day you're listening to us?
Rather than talking to your family.
That's right.
I think probably once you've had a screaming row with a family member and you've slammed the door of your bedroom and you need to sulk for a bit, you could put it on then and that would last you an hour of sulking. That's pretty good length of sulk.
Well, if you would like to feel all Christmassy, listeners, don't do it by listening to Lily Allen covering Keane. They've got enough money. Do it by buying the Answer Me This Christmas album. You can get it right now at answermethispodcast.com/Christmas. Now, in Answer Me This 279, I was talking about my monument hangover cure. Climbing up monument when you're feeling a little bit
pukey,
rough the next morning. Yeah.
Perverse. It's perverse.
Combination of
hangover
steps and the fresh air works very well.
No one wants to listen to steps when they're hungover. What?
That is true. Even Pete Waterman, I think, would probably draw the line there.
I don't think Pete Waterman would ever exhibit the human weakness that is hangovers.
Well, Adrian from North London has been in touch to say, Helen, answer me this. Whose brilliant idea was it to name the monument Monument? Surely that would be like referring to Eros as statue or the Albert Hall as building.
Or hall.
Why doesn't it have a proper name?
Well, it does, but Monument is its first name, and then its surname is For the Great Fire of London. So I think it's just that is a bit of a mouthful. Like, we've got a friend who has 6 surnames, and he only uses 1 or 2 max.
And actually, if you think about it, when something's brand new...
It might have been the only monument when it was put up in, I think, 1677 they finished it.
I dare say it was. I mean, it's like... the Dome, the Millennium Dome, was the Dome.
There are other domes. Look at St Paul's. That's been around for ages.
I mean, there weren't other domes that you could go in and have an unfulfilling quasi-theme park experience in.
St Paul's, again. Do you know,
don't know if you've been on the Jesuit ride. It's fantastic.
Did you know that the monument, your ideal hangover cure, is the tallest isolated stone column in the world?
I didn't know it, but it doesn't surprise me because it's certainly a very tall isolated stone column.
It sure is.
All the time I was climbing that, despite my hangover, I was thinking, this is the tallest isolated stone column that I can think of.
Yeah.
Actually, a little tip for tourists coming to London, perhaps over Christmas.
Yeah.
If you are intending to do the Ollie Mann Monument hangover cure, get the joint
it's
ticket.
It's going to be mobbed, isn't it?
There'll be loads of people just being sick on the top of Monument.
It'll be like a sport. They'll paint targets on the pavement.
If you go to Monument and you get the ticket, I think if you spend something like £2 more, you can get a joint ticket to go to the Tower Bridge exhibit.
Ooh.
It's worth doing both. Because
if you like going up towery
if you like
things,
going up stuff,
unsupported stone columns and towers.
My name is Alyssa. I live in Coventry and I'm 6 years old. Helen and Ollie, answer me this. Why is caterpillars called caterpillars? Has it got anything to do with cats?
Well, yes, it is sort of to do with cats, etymologically.
That's a big word for a 6-year-old, Helen. I don't mean to patronise you, Alyssa. Can you say another word?
Philologically.
Much better.
Because the cat was from the Latin for cat, and the pillar is from the Latin for hair. So I think they just looked at the caterpillars and saw them looking a bit hairy, like, I guess, a cat's tail. Do you love caterpillars like you love hairy cats, though, Wally?
They're sort of in my... I can't even build up a pretend defence for them. No, I don't have any feelings for caterpillars.
No feelings?
I think that's sort of in the middle of the spectrum. Like they can be quite scary looking and unpleasant, but
especially when they're very hungry.
But they're not like really disgusting, like flies and maggots. And they're not beautiful like butterflies or praying mantises.
But of course, they turn into beautiful butterflies, don't they, Martin? That's the
well,
point.
some of them turn into munting butterflies. It's unlucky. So
I've never seen a munting butterfly. I think that's
because they keep themselves to themselves.
I think even moths are pretty.
Like some beautiful babies turn out to be quite plain or gross adults. It's the same with caterpillars.
Yeah, think about that, Alyssa.
Well, here is a question from Sam, who says, I am Sam, son of Country Files Tom Heap.
Wow.
Celebrity Sam.
Son of the stars.
Tom Heap does the investigation section in the programme Country File, but all is not well in the world outside Country File.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Say it isn't so. People have started recognising my father, although they recognise him as Adam, another member of the Country File crew.
Oh no, so this is like Tobey Maguire getting mistaken for Elijah Wood.
They don't even really look alike, Toby Maguire and Elijah Wood, because Elijah Wood has... Actually, no, they don't.
No, they do a bit. They're both thin, white, geeky young men.
I've never confused them before, but now...
You can see it.
It's not like people confusing Ryan Gosling and Ryan Reynolds, just because they're both beefy Ryans.
Both called Ryan and women like
I sort of think Elijah Wood looks like a drawing of Tobey Maguire.
Yeah. I've never seen Country Files, so we looked up Tom Heap and Adam on Google Images. And
there is a similarity,
we have
Sam.
to say.
Yeah.
I can understand how this
They're
error
both white
occurs.
middle-aged men who look very sort of rural.
Sandy hair.
Yeah.
They all look the same to you, don't they, Ollie?
In addition to recognising him as the wrong man, they ask him questions as if he was Adam from Country File.
Yeah.
So, Ollie, answer me this. How should my father, Tom Heap of Country File, react to this, and what should he say?
I think he should just say, thank you very much, and then...
Got the wrong man!
No, I don't
like
think
North by Northwest.
I think he should... I think he should say... Oh, actually, I'm Tom, but... And then answer whatever question they've asked. Because actually, the question they've asked, I bet, isn't a question that's specific to Adam. I bet it's a
Adam,
question
do you
like...
have a girlfriend?
Yeah, that one's difficult. But
Adam, when you caress a log, are you thinking of me?
But I imagine most of the questions are
Adam, have you got wood?
where do you film such and such a bit?
Yeah.
Or, are you in this town that we're in right now because you're filming a thing
Is
for
that a
Country
real
File?
sheep or is it someone dressed
Exactly,
up
and you
as
can
one?
answer that whether you're Adam or Tom.
No,
can't
but Tom does the investigation section, which suggests to me Tom is not involved in the rest of Country Files, so maybe he does not have the answers to these general production
Maybe
questions.
not, but he's certainly going to know more than your average Tom in the street.
Maybe he's not a fan of Adam. Maybe they're mortal enemies, and this is why this is such a hurtful thing to happen.
I think in a way it's good, Sam, that your father has one of those faces that people obviously think, oh, I recognise him, and actually in this case more specifically, oh, I recognise him off a specific thing, but actually isn't a person that you think immediately, oh, that's so-and-so. Because actually, I think that's really problematic if you're overly distinctive. Just the other week I saw Brian May in the top of Regent Street.
For sure it wasn't his wife.
And that is a distinctive looking man.
Yes.
And I was thinking, in a way it's nice for him that he knows when people come up to him and congratulate him on his work that they are congratulating Brian May. On the other hand, it must be sort of irritating to know that everywhere you're going people are like, oh, it's Brian May.
I knew someone who completely failed to recognise him. Even though she was working backstage at the Queen musical, and he'd been playing guitar as a guest spot in the Queen musical, and he came off and went, "Oh, that went well." And she went, "Yeah, for some reason they're really excited tonight. I don't know why that was." Completely failing to realise that she was in front of Brian May.
Ultimate troll.
Would she have recognised him if he'd have thrown back to 5 to do the verse?
Quite possibly.
Yeah, maybe she's just of that generation.
If you've got a question, email your question to answerme this podcast at googlemail.com. Answerme this podcast at googlemail.com. Answerme.
So, retrospectors, what historical events are we ticking off on this week's run of Today in History?
On Monday, the anniversary of the day Ozzy Osbourne and a bat came face to face on stage.
On Tuesday, we go back to the future with a potted history of the DeLorean.
On Wednesday, why is the Pope guarded by those guys in floofy hats?
On Thursday, how the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ended up in Cleveland.
And on Friday, was Henry VIII really an asshole, or was it just the result of a jousting accident?
We discuss this and more on Today in History with the Retrospectors. 10 minutes each weekday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Almost exactly a year ago, a listener called Cheska got in touch to ask us whether she should take a job at Disney World, Florida.
Just say Disney World, Helen, as you know I'm pedantic about this. There is no other Disney World.
Sorry.
You don't need to clarify Florida.
She's now been back in touch to say, I asked you a question last year about whether I should come work at Disney World.
Yes.
And now that is where I'm writing to you from. Yay!
When you wish
upon a star, you will move to Florida.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's the next line?
When you wish upon a star and you get a working visa.
Yeah, that's the crucial bit.
Yeah,
and you're prepared to demean yourself as well by working in England land or whatever they call it, because she was working in the Epcot Centre.
We put it in...
Cheska says, I've been working here for about 3 months now, and unsurprisingly, I realised that a high proportion of the men here are gay.
No.
And the few that are straight are snapped up immediately by
I thought you were
girls.
saying the few that are straight are dressed as giant mice. Which would be a bit disturbing.
And the foam penises just won't stay up. The few that are straight are snapped up immediately by girls out of their league, or they stay infamously single, breaking hearts across the parks.
You know, there are so many reasons why a behind-the-scenes documentary looking at the way Walt Disney World is run would be fascinating. But
Absolutely.
That's one that I hadn't even considered, is the sex lives of the employees.
Yeah.
Because, of course, you do get people from all around the world going to Florida, and they feel like, I guess, they're on permanent vacation when they work there.
Well, they're kind of isolated, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly, and they're on campus, effectively. It's like a student campus.
Cheska says, although this makes for a straight guy paradise, it is not ideal for the straight girls like me, who are here for a year with only vacationing men as prospects. And I'd imagine a lot of the vacationing men at Disney World are dads who are already taken.
Spoken for.
Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely not very Disney World to separate a man from his family whilst they're at Epcot.
And it's also not appropriate for Cheska to set her cap at the under-10s.
I wonder as well whether it's even on brand for you to be flirting unduly with customers there.
Well, some of the Disney princesses are sexy. But I still think that would be very disapproved of. That would be a sacking offence, wouldn't it? If you ripped off your mermaid tail and strangled someone.
I think it's all right if you're dressed as Daisy Duck to do some mock flirtatious gestures when someone says something rude to you.
Yes.
But almost you're kind of left without choice. Like, what else do you do? Because, you know, the face you're wearing suggests you're permanently smiling. You have to find it amusing.
Yeah.
But if you're working in one of the stores and you're coming on to your customers, and as you say, there are families around, it's very difficult to even arrange a hookup, I should think.
Off-brand. Very off-brand.
I think it is.
Wizarding World of Harry Potter, however.
Oh, yeah, get your wand out.
Yeah. Cheska says, I've been single for a long time, and the honeymoon nature of my workplace makes me even more eager to find a guy to spend time with.
Yes, I forgot about that, but when I was at Disney World, there were a surprising amount of honeymooning couples.
Really?
What they do is, if you're a honeymooning couple there, they give you a special pair of mouse ears that have got lace kind of on the side and your name on, so that I mean, this is such a Disney thing, and it's out of context, it sounds mental, but it means that every ride you go on, like literally every ride you go on, every restaurant you go to in the park, the person who's operating, pulling the levers and speaking on the mic will stop the ride just before and go, hey, and congratulations to Becca and Steve!
Oh, no!
Which is just, to me, it's blood-curdlingly embarrassing.
Yes.
But I think you get extra perks, like you probably get free lunch and you get to go to the front of the queues and
you
stuff.
don't get that without humiliation.
But it happens surprisingly commonly. I'd go as far to say there wasn't a ride I went on without seeing a honeymooning couple.
That's probably the key, Ollie. There aren't that many honeymooning couples at Disney World. They just want the perks. It's all a ruse. Cheska says, I'm a bit of a hopeless romantic, so I was less than enthused when my friend suggested to me that we should both try Tinder. She says, I assumed it was literally just for hookups and that it must have the worst kind of guys on it. And girls, therefore. I mean, why the double standard?
Exactly.
But my friend assured me that on her recent trip back to the UK that Tinder has really taken off there and everyone is on it.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
yeah, everyone's on it. Harry Styles, Lord Lloyd Webber.
We're all on it, aren't
Prince
we? Cheating
William.
on our partners.
Everyone's on it.
So, Ollie, answer me this.
Yeah.
What is the deal with Tinder? Is it becoming a thing? And is it just for hookups?
Okay, I actually think it is becoming a thing.
Yes.
Now it is everywhere in terms of people mentioning it.
I think it's been very big this year. And also I think it is unusual for such an app to have been so big amongst straight women
Yes.
thus far, and for them to feel safe enough. But I think because it links to people's Facebooks that they They don't feel like they're just going to meet a total stranger that happens to be within 500 metres.
Yes, it does. So for anyone who's completely ignorant of this and hasn't seen any of this, Tinder is, you'd heard of Grindr, which is the gay one, right, which has been out for a couple of years.
And maybe Growler, which is the similar one for bears.
I did not know about that.
Brender, which is for lesbians.
Are you making these up now?
No.
Okay.
I don't have the imagination.
I couldn't tell. There's Dur for qualified medics.
Yeah.
But what it is it's an app that taps into your Facebook profile, takes a picture from your Facebook profile. You can choose which one it is.
Oh, God.
And then finds people who are friends of your friends or friends of friends of friends of those who are in your local area.
Yeah.
Then you swipe the people you're physically attracted to, and only if they swipe you back are you then able to have a chat with them. So you don't get harassed by people you don't fancy, is the idea.
It's a bit like speed dating in that way
Yes.
as well. If you both check the box, then you get each other's contacts at the end.
And apparently straight women feel like this is
not so
liberating.
rapey.
Yes, which is interesting because, of course, it really is about casual sex underneath it all.
Women are allowed to want that, Ollie.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, isn't it? I think a
Even
lot
in
of people are
Disney World.
surprised by that being the case. But absolutely, I think it's finally an example where young straight women feel like they can engage in saying online that they want to have casual sex because they know that the only people they're saying it to are people who feel the same way about them, and they can ignore anyone they don't like who feels that way about them.
But I think some people are also using it for dating, not just hookups, because it's free, unlike most of the dating websites. The thing is, Cheska, you can just get the app and then have a look at it, and you don't have to do anything. You can just see if you like it.
Well, I suspect this is part of the reason why a lot of women are on there. As I understand it, a lot of people, and of course men would do this too, but I think women particularly, a lot of people go on there even if they're in a relationship, apparently, just to see if they're still fanciable.
Oh my God,
they don't have
that
any
is so stupid.
intention of following through. It's just that they want to see how many people that they've ticked would also tick them.
It's all about the ego, isn't it?
Yeah. So actually, I'm not sure, if you really are looking for a relationship, whether... Because if you think of all the people that are on there just to do that, and then all the people that are on there just for casual sex, how many
wasting
people
your time,
really...
Cheska.
Exactly. How many people really want a relationship?
Well, then where's she going to find one? Maybe someone who works in one of the Disney gift shops. Or a security guard.
Actually, the way to do it is I was speaking to a guy who works in the Simpsons store in the Universal theme park in Orlando, and he said to me that his wife works at the Disney Studios theme park, and he was saying if you do it that way, you get the employee perks for both sets of parks. So if you're a real theme park addict, what you actually want to do is you want to be cruising Universal.
That is good advice, Ollie.
Because you might have someone there who is an equal theme park geek who wants to get in on the Disney perks.
And I reckon Universal, they will be perhaps a bit more adult.
The entire vibe of Universal Studios is a bit more adolescent. It's a bit more sort of rip-roaring. It's all more about the roller coasters, more about sort of metal music and superheroes. So you do get people... It's less likely to be entirely populated
by gay,
sort of...
gay men and players.
Yes, I think that's probably right, yeah. Now, of course, the only thing that is more exciting than Disney World, there is only one thing, and that is the Answer Me This Christmas album.
That is exciting.
If you haven't bought it yet, here's what you're missing.
Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas.
I read an amazing theory as to why Rudolph has a red nose, because reindeers' noses are not naturally red.
Has he been in a fight?
Well, he might have, because he is bullied by the other reindeer, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
Yeah.
That could be the subtext. Apparently, adulterers are more likely to become inadvertently outed on Christmas Day than any other day of the year as well.
Wow.
The only thing I can think of about plum pudding that I like is that it was once a model of the atom.
What is Kwanzaa? People keep mentioning it, do they? But I have no idea what it is.
During the Second World War, the Ministry of Defence commissioned a cracker maker to tie bundles of cracker snaps together, and then they were used by soldiers in training when they were pulled apart to mimic the sound of machine gun fire, so they got used to it.
That's horrendous.
Wow. Yeah.
Although, obviously, it's right to be prepared for the vagaries of war, isn't it? With something horrendous.
Insofar as you
like
can
a Christmas
prepare.
cracker.
Yeah, exactly. I think they took the toys out as well. What is Christmas without a scratched cornea?
As Dickens famously wrote.
Just a little selection of tidbits from the Answer Me This Christmas album, which is available right now at answermethispodcast.com/Christmas.
Ha ha ha, you said tidbits. Let's see what you listeners have been saying right now on the phone line, the number for which is...
02081235877.
Or you can Skype Answer Me This.
Tidbits.
You tidbit.
Hello, it's Rebecca from Letchworth. Helen and Ollie, answer me this. What is Labour Day and why can you not wear white after it?
Okay, I actually don't know what Labour Day is. I know.
Don't you?
Let me tell you what I know.
Haven't you heard of it from
Yes.
American things?
What I know is it's an American bank holiday.
Right.
And I'm guessing from the name that it has something to do with the workers.
Yes.
But that is it. That's all I know. And I've always wanted to know. So, Helen, answer me
Wow.
this. I'm interested. I agree with Rebecca. What is Labour Day?
I must know!
I actually have always wanted to know, never thought to articulate it before, but I
No.
want to know the answer
I'm
to this.
so interested, I never bothered looking it up.
Yeah.
Labour Day. Labour Day, as you suspected, Ollie,
Yeah.
is a public holiday. It's the first Monday of September.
September.
Kind of like our August bank holiday, but a
Yeah.
week later. It is a holiday to respect the workers,
Yeah.
as you suspected.
But which workers and when?
It was first celebrated in New York City in 1882, but it became federal law because it had spread through so many states in 1894. So it was a creation of the labour movement and was dedicated to the social and economic achievements of American workers. And it is the yearly tribute to the contributions workers have made to the strength, prosperity and well-being of the country.
It's the one day per year.
One-
You're allowed to
one
say
day.
something even vaguely socialist in
How
America.
come we haven't got a capitalist day?
But these are questions for another day. Canada has Labour Day on the same day as well. But I
Okay.
think it's less mythologised.
Yes.
Because I have labour laws and things like that.
And the reason why this no white after Labour Day adage has come into being was, well, because it sort of symbolised the end of the summer. And therefore you put away your light, leisurely summer clothes, you returned from your country pile to the city where you put on your business attire, whether the climate demanded it or not. And apparently this became a big thing because essentially old money wanted to distinguish themselves from new money, who were starting to encroach on their territory in the late 19th century. So they thought, well, one thing we can do is just invent loads of arbitrary, snobbish laws that will have them really confused and they won't know what to do. So if someone turns up at the opera with the wrong sleeve length, we can be like, oh, you can't be in our society. It's like using the wrong fork.
Yes,
Imagine the shame.
Okay.
However, people like Coco Chanel wore white all year round. And now, like, there are always fashion editorials all the time about winter white, as if that is an original idea. Because it is pretty stupid. Although there is practicality, because in summer, white is a cool colour to wear because it reflects heat, etc. In winter, it will get dirty from mud and grit on the road and rain and all of that.
It's just... It's called classic for a reason. White and black... I just find it weird when I read any article. I mean, I know that men's fashion is even more boring than women's fashion. But when I don't read articles about women's fashion because I'm really not interested.
Yeah.
Occasionally, I mean, I subscribe to Esquire for other articles, but I'll occasionally read the fashion ones.
Articles about Daisy Lowe with her baps out.
That sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it'll say, oh, Tiny Temper is pictured here in a white T-shirt, and then it'll have a commentary from someone, fashion editor of The Guardian or something.
Well,
saying,
you see the sleeve length. Is
yeah.
14
With this white
centimetres.
T-shirt, he's really making his body pop. And I'm like, it's a white T-shirt. It's like, it's not... He probably didn't even think when he left the house that morning, and I know that's a fashion conscious man. He probably just thought, it's a T-shirt. It's not even... It's beyond classic. It is just it's nothing. It's not even a colour.
Tiny Temper is a bit of a dandy, so he probably has a white T-shirt for every occasion, and the minutiae of those T-shirts are not visible to the untrained eye of Ollie Mann.
Oh god, men's fashion is so boring though, isn't it?
You have to make up these things
it's
to
like-
make it interesting and to keep selling units. Like, well, this T-shirt is radically different to last year.
It's like people picking endlessly over the different varieties of porridge, isn't it? Well, this is a very salty porridge, lovely grain size.
And then the bottom line is, when you read through these articles comparing men's fashions and men's looks, the one that all the judges can agree on will be some Premiership footballer wearing, guess what, a black Armani suit. Like,
Oh, wow.
there's nothing wrong with this style. This looks good at any age.
Yeah, men look good
'cause
in
that's
suits,
men's
slow
fashion.
hand
Yeah.
clap, yeah.
So everything else you've said in the other 200 pages of this magazine is bullshit, isn't it?
After my commute, when I find the time, I can always send a question to the question line. Inquiries are wanted as all part of the plan. A la Helen, or Ollie, or Martin the Stone Man. Answer me this podcast.
Here's a question from Ashfay in Edinburgh, who says, I work in a library, and last week I had the rather dubious pleasure of asking one of our patrons to not clip her fingernails in the library.
Ooh.
Ugh.
That's disgusting.
It is disgusting. When I was talking about it later with my co-workers, says Ashfay, I was a bit surprised at how opinionated everyone was about where is or isn't appropriate to cut nails. One woman thought it should only be done outside. Another, only in the bathroom, though any bathroom was okay, not just her own. A third thought anywhere in your own house, but nowhere else, and so on. Ollie, answer me this. Where do you cut your nails? And where would you definitely not do it?
In answer to the first question, where do I cut my nails? I've got a study in my house.
It's your nail clipping room.
It's where I do...
beautification salon.
Yeah, exactly. It's
groom yourself.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing, isn't it? Even though it's a place where I work, it's the closest thing I have to... Like, my girlfriend has a dresser with her makeup on it.
Yeah.
But I don't. So it's the closest I have to a grooming station is there. But I think, generally speaking, in terms of clipping your nails in public, that is disgusting.
Yes.
And there's a very, very simple rule on this one. Only clip your nails where you would get naked. If it's a place where you would get naked. Therefore, changing rooms in a public swimming pool, fine. Your bedroom, fine. Mm-hmm. Your bathroom,
yes.
Fine. Your own house, not in the bedroom or bathroom, yes, but only if there's no one else around.
Your own garden if it's not overlooked.
Exactly. A friend's bathroom or spare room only if you're staying with them.
And only if you're very tidy about where you put the bits.
So there you are, that's the rubric.
I think that's good, because I've been on several buses and tubes where people are doing it, and it's the noise. I also dislike it when people are plucking their eyebrows on the tube.
It's also, I think there's an element of detritus as well, isn't there? The thing about plucking your eyebrows and filing or clipping your nails is that you are leaving bits of your body somewhere. Now, I know that bits of your skin and dandruff and everything fall off anyway, but you're choosing to leave bits of your body lying around.
And a witch doctor could scoop all that up and do bad things with it.
Here's a question from Gareth in Chorleywood, who says, Helen, answer me this. In the film Big, how did the wish machine know
Zoltar
that the kid wanted to be older? It has no prior knowledge.
Oh, you say that, but...
The whole point of it was that the wish was kind of a double-edged sword. It was to teach him a lesson, wasn't it? As much as it was to fulfill his desires.
Yes, because the kid says, I'd want to be big.
But you have to be very specific when you're dealing with a supernatural machine. It's like the guy from Greek mythology who wished to live forever but didn't specify that he wanted to be young forever, so he just grew older and older and older. But I think the Zoltar machine knew that by saying he wanted to be big, the child didn't just want to be a 7-foot child or a 50-foot child. He wanted to be an adult. He wanted that kind of bigness.
The thing is, we both identify with this because as children, we both desperately wanted to be grown-ups.
Yeah.
But we actually genuinely wanted to sit around and have the kind of conversations we're having now.
Yep.
Whereas most kids want to be grown-ups just so they can buy
Drive
whatever
fast.
toys they want, drive a car, kiss a girl.
They don't think, oh, I want to be a grown-up so that I can set up a direct debit for my council tax.
Yeah. Whereas, we actually enjoy that kind of admin and discussing it.
I don't enjoy it, but I accept it.
So I think part of the point of the film is that the kid doesn't really understand what being big or even being an adult is. And actually, the whole film is a cautionary tale, isn't it?
If you ask to be big, then maybe you'll get a high-flying job in a toy company and you get to go out with Elizabeth Perkins. Oh, poor you.
Yeah.
And you get to have an amazing flat.
And you get to play that giant keyboard in FAO Schwartz.
Yeah.
You get everything.
Yeah.
Oh, what a horrible cautionary tale. Boo-hoo.
Home Alone's kind of like that as well, isn't it? It's the same wish fulfillment.
There are terrifying burglars in Home Alone, though.
There are. But he deals with them in a fun way that the child watching is still thinking this is fantasy wish fulfillment. They're not thinking, I want my mummy and daddy. I want my terrible family that we saw depicted in the first scene to return.
They're thinking, I wish I had enough micro machines to see off Joe Pesci.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish I could make animatronic adult party guest cutouts.
I wish I could throw a brick at a man's face. Hideously violent, isn't it, Home Alone?
They blowtorch him at one point and smash a paint can into his face.
I'm actually surprised they got away with as much as they did.
Hey,
I found
early 90s.
Even as a kid, I was a bit older than I guess it was aimed at. I found it pretty horrible.
Yeah, but you're very delicate, Martin.
Well, like Tom and Jerry, it's a cartoon, but as soon as you transfer any of that stuff into live action, you do kind of, unless it's like Beetlejuice, who is kind of a cartoon character, But these were like real people being set fire to. I felt very bad for them.
There was the moment where Daniel Stern falls through 2 floors of a house onto his shoulder.
What kind of flooring?
Wooden flooring. Ooh. And you just know that
that's a breakage.
He'd break he'd probably die.
It's a lot of physio.
He'd certainly dislocate both shoulders and break both legs.
He'd have like a bone sticking out of his...
It's exactly. And it's no longer funny then, is it? Really?
No, that's the problem with being an adult. Comedy violence is no longer funny. And that's probably why he wished not to be big at the end of Big, because he could no longer enjoy such films as Home Alone, which I don't think had been made at the time of Big.
Yes, but of course... Zoltar or whatever he's called.
Zoltar.
I might start calling you Zoltar.
All right, yeah.
Helen Zoltar.
Imagine if there was a machine with me in it. Like, you put in £1 and you get a little card with some shit that I've said on it.
Or just something really pedantic about something you said earlier.
If you can't use pronouns properly, don't use them at all. That's what it would say to everybody. Well, listeners, that brings us to the end of this episode. And as this is the 40th episode of the year, it means we've reached our quota for episodes of Answer Me This for the year.
We'll have to stop for tax reasons.
Yeah.
And also just numerical neatness reasons.
And also because we can't bear each other's faces anymore, or voices.
It's not your face, it's the things you say with your face.
But if you want more of us, it's good news for you, because we're going to take the next week off, but then we're back with 2 best of episodes, recapping everything that's happened in 2013 that was even remotely amusing. Also, as we may have mentioned, the Answer Me This Christmas album is out now.
I hear that's got a load of material that you can't get from the episodes.
That's right. So if you want 1 hour of all new material of us chatting Christmas...
At a very reasonable price.
Yes, £2.49.
Given how much the average person spends on Christmas in this country.
Correct.
Living in.
Exactly. It's like the price of a bad card from Clinton's, isn't it?
It's less than a dozen vol au vents from Iceland, I believe.
Then all of that, the Christmas album and the best of Answer Me This, can be found on our website, answermethispodcast.com.
And of course, visit there if you need our contact details to send us a question for Answer Me This in 2014, because we're planning to come back.
Planning to come back for an 8th year of Answer Me This.
Oh my God, don't put it in those terms. Terrible.
We're a national institution at this point.
We should be in an institution.
Hey.
What?
Yeah.
Huh?
The next episode is going to be like a Shutter Island reveal that actually we are in an institution.
Well, well done, Martin, for ending the year with ruining a really good film for anyone who hasn't seen it.
Oh, Martin.
But we'll see you in a couple of weeks for the best of part 1.
Bye!